Hi, everyone. Roger Connect, president of Universal Accounting Center, and we're speaking today with Troy Ballard. She actually runs MTV Services, offering bookkeeping services to businesses, and this is going to be a great conversation. I'm excited to have her here simply because of the journey she's been on and some of the things that she's incorporated into her business. So, Troy, let's start first of all with just saying hello. Thank you for being here today.
Hi, Roger. It is really wonderful to talk with you today.
Now, I know you're on the road. Where are you today?
Currently, I'm in Orange County, California.
Nice.
I have a 3-day seminar, and I took a 2-day seminar in Pasadena earlier this week with QuickBooks Mastery class.
Perfect, perfect. Well, I can definitely attest to traveling. It's one way to get out and enjoy the world. The problem is so many of our friends and families think that we're out enjoying the city and we're stuck in hotel rooms. So the glamour of it is gone. All right, so let's start just basically with a little bit of background. Share with us some of your experience and background leading to your starting your business.
All right. Well, bookkeeping for me started in the early 80s, in 1981, actually. My father invited me to take over as his bookkeeper for his manufacturing business. I'd taken a couple of bookkeeping classes while I was in high school, and when I started working with him, I went to the community college, took some more classes. When I started, bookkeeping was kept in journals and check and ledgers on paper, pencil and paper.
Are you trying to date yourself there?
I'm okay with how old I am.
As long as you didn't say abacus, we're all right.
There you go. There you go. While I worked with him, I did have the opportunity to put together a funding package with business administration. And that was very intriguing, all of the detail that they needed. In 1984, we decided to get a company. And I stood up and I said, okay, I want to use it for the accounting. And at that time, there were not a lot of accounting packages, but we did get one. It was Peachtree, I think. And it only held data up to 2.5 years. But it never told me it ran out of data. So I had to go looking for another one. We switched over to an accounting software called Cougar Mountain.
Oh, wow.
I know. So that was interesting because each of the modules for the accounting software, general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, they were all separate modules that had to be coded to link all of the fields together. It was pretty good education. In the 90s, I started using the earliest version of desktop. As I went through my life working for other companies, I've used Sage and more Peachtree and a few proprietary programs, software that it was created specifically for that company. In the mid-90s, I had worked for my father. I worked for small businesses, full charge bookkeeper. I've done everything: retail, wholesale, manufacturing, contracting, nonprofit. I've seen a lot of transactions, to say the least. When I moved to rural Arizona back in 2006, at the time I'd been working for a large corporation and the accounting department as a supervisor.
Okay.
In 2015, I quit. Well, actually, I worked for an electrical contractor, and when I was done there, I walked away and I said, I am so tired of working for other people. I really want to do this on my own. So I decided to freelance. And that's what I've been doing since then, since 2015, is working on my own. And I truly, truly love it. It has allowed me to travel around the West currently, and meet interesting people, and be more involved in the technological part of the accounting and bookkeeping businesses.
So I'm curious, when you decided to actually break out on your own, did you do this as a transitional process, working part-time with clients and then jumping full force into it with your other position, your W-2 role ending? Or did you just go from working for someone else to being self-employed?
I went from working for someone being self-employed. That particular scenario was a huge cleanup process for the books. They had been very poorly maintained. By the time I got them all cleaned up, I was getting ready to go into the accounts receivable, And the office manager actually told me I had to go. And I found out later, small town, that she was embezzling, and I was going to catch her, was what was going to happen. So she let me go, but it was actually freeing for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed me to look at my life and go, hey, you know what? I can do this, and I can do it on my own, and I can go find clients. And so that's what I did. It was a dramatic shift, walking out of the corporate world and going out on my own.
Well, what you've described, I think a lot of people can relate to, because sometimes it's a matter of choice and it's something that people strategically do. Other times it's something that's put upon them or forced upon them. And at the time, it's scary, it's overwhelming, and it's that leap of faith. It's almost like that Indiana Jones moment where he's having to step forward and there's nothing there and you're wondering what to do. That's, I think, that emotional element. And what you did is you just described how you went from it to something better, something more liberating, something that you were able to do on your own. And congratulations. It's now basically more than a decade later, and here you are.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've been working with accounts and software and accounting and bookkeeping for over 30 years.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I do want to ask is, whether it be very, very early in your career or at some point later on, what is it that you love about accounting?
I love balance. I love balance in my life. I love balance in my head. I love bringing balance to accounts. And then also what happens after that is I bring peace of mind to the client. I think the most rewarding I've heard from many of my clients is, oh, I'm so glad that you're doing this and I don't have to do this anymore. And it's just their peace of mind, and then working with the numbers and working with the accounts.
Very good. So what I'd like to do now is have you share what kind of story can you maybe relate of helping a client and where you feel you actually did make that difference.
When I thought about this, and I thought one story.
All right, you can do two.
So I'm going to just tell the story of probably 3 or 4 of my clients, not all in similar situations, but one of my fortes is cleaning up messy books, and from mild, total disaster. And what I see happening as I go through and I clean up and I present the reports and we get to the point where the healthy set of books, you can see their face relax. You can see their shoulders just like, it's just this pure relief through and they experience in their body. I don't have an exact story. I mean, I did share the one about the electrical contractor, which was probably the most intense, in that I was getting ready to, open up their books and find out that there had been some theft going on. Mm-hmm. That was the first and only time I've ever experienced that in my career. But really, it's so wonderful to hear in your phone or when you're face-to-face with a client and they say, oh, I'm so grateful for you. And that relief, it's the relief the client feels.
Well, one thing I can definitely share myself is working with small business owners. There is something to be said for peace of mind. It's hard to quantify for a business owner when they're actually able to focus on their business because they know the numbers are in order, the finances are fine, the tax liabilities are taken care of, the cash flow is good, and all of that information comes from the services you're providing. And so peace of mind, there's something to be said when the business owner comes to you and is able to sigh a sigh of relief of, thank you for getting this all in order. I'm so grateful for that. And I have to just say that that's one of the big reliefs that many business owners don't experience, but yet we're able to offer. So that's good that you were able to do that. So here's my next question for you. Go kind of reflect back. I want you to go back to 2006. Maybe this is advice you would give to yourself, but what would you say to someone who's preparing to go out on their own and start their business, that they're actually getting ready to commit to do this?
Be prepared to always be willing to learn something new. Even when you have all technical education that goes along with taking care of books, bookkeeping, even being a CPA, there's always going to be a new opportunity to streamline the task, courses that take deeper dives into the processes, methodologies like Profit First. I know we haven't spoken about that yet, but these are all, just be open and willing to learn. You've got the basics when you go to school. You've got all of that. And the other thing too is look at your own life as the template for that too. It's like you want your own life to be what it is you're also offering. Okay? And when I say that, I mean, you want your life to be a peace of mind and in order, and the accounts are in order, whatever those happen to look like, as well as you want your clients to be.
That is perfect. So one of the things that I think even your older self would appreciate from hearing that is just to be ready for change, right? It's just one of those things of you're going to jump into this and you're going to have to be adaptable. You're going to have to be able to mold and kind of go with the flow, right?
Absolutely. It's things are changing. So I don't know how, that's why I shared what I did about my background story, because if you think in the last 30 years that I went from paper to combining apps in order to streamline the accounting process or the bookkeeping process for a client, that is a lot of technology and a lot of advancement and a lot of change just in this one small industry. And just get ready. Hang on. It's going to get even more intense. That's what I think.
Well, this is something I think you'll appreciate. Just last week, I was speaking with one of our clients. He happens to be a partner in a very large CPA firm. And after working with them, I did like I'm doing here, a webinar. And what Russ shared, and it's so true, is at the very beginning, he was drawn to the accounting profession because of its predictability. He loved the fact that it was debits and credits, and it always, like you said, balanced. And he was drawn to that. And my comment then was the fact that accounting really hasn't changed in more than 500 years with the debits and credits. Fra Luca Petroli set it up, and that's what we're running with. Well, what's interesting is when we ended the conversation, he spoke of the passion that he has for the work because it's always changing with the tax laws, with the software, and it led us into a great conversation about tomorrow and like the artificial intelligence, the AI that's being built into a lot of the software programs. So that's going to lead me to the question I want to ask you. What changes do you see on the horizon for the accounting profession? You've seen it go from paper to working from journals and ledgers all the way to software programs. You're now in a paperless world. Where do you see us going next?
Well, I see it going as, we're going into the cloud. That is the big thing, and that is very huge. And I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see the people who handle the transactions are going to start disappearing, and what we're going to have is an overall cloud-based and application-based processes that is managing the processes, so that what we're going to become, envision myself too, is that trusted advisor, that consultant, that the client calls you up and says, hey, I've got this opportunity to purchase this piece of equipment, and we can have a conversation of, okay, is it a good time? Where's it going to save, and those kind of things. But literally, I really do see that people like me, if we're not willing to be the consultant, if we're not willing to get the education, do the deep dive into the processes, we're going to disappear. And so I invite people, it's like, go, learn, find out whatever you can that is going to make a difference for your clients.
I love that. That is so well said. I agree with you. I think what's happening is the accounting profession is moving more and more away from historical information and becoming more and more real time in its ability to be accessible by the business owner. And what you just described is, I think the role of the accountant is going to become less and less the preparer and deliverer of this data. They're going to become more and more the interpreter of, but most importantly, the tools, what software programs, what things are going to be used by a business to get access to those numbers. So I love how you described it. Here's my next question then. You brought up Profit First. I think you brought it up twice. You've spoken of becoming a strategic advisor. So here's the question for you. What drew you to Profit First, and how has it helped you become, for your clients, that trusted strategic advisor?
About a year ago, I was being interviewed by a client, which we didn't hook up, and that's okay with me. I know that there's a person, everything goes together when you're becoming an advisor and a consultant for a company. There's going to be a personality thing that has to happen in energy. And he asked me, he says, do you know about Profit First? And I told him no, and I did Google it, and I wasn't really that interested. Well, last August, one of my more progressive clients read Mike's book, Mike Michalowicz, and she sent me an email and said, hey, read this book. I want to implement this. And I said, all right, sure. And I have to tell you that it is the most transformative methodology of cash management that I have ever seen. She encouraged me to join them. It provided a mind shift not only in managing my cash and my clients, but also sharing it with family members and saying, you know what? This is a life management skill. This is something that is going to transform the clarity with which you perceive your finances so that you can lift yourself out of survival and be in a thriving mode, because it's always you're putting aside your profit. You're putting aside money for you. And so it's putting me first. It's putting the client first. It's forcing that idea that, yeah, let's do this. Let's be profitable from the get-go, from the mindset.
So one of the things that I liked about your story is the fact that a client of yours is what introduced it, and a client of yours is someone who said, hey, let's do this, and it was causing you to step out of your comfort zone and provide a new service and consult and advise them in a new way. So here you go, you embrace this profit first philosophy. You said you shared it now with family and friends, but how has it helped your firm? What's changed about your services and what you're doing? And I mean that both in the services you're providing, but also in the revenue you're generating.
Well, it has literally doubled my revenue in a very short period of time, because it is a premium product, and not every bookkeeper, not every accountant is going to embrace the ideology or the methodology. It can appear confusing at first. I didn't find it that way. I trust that I have actually offered this out to all of my clients, and I currently have that are interested. And that is about the percentage. It's about I think it's like a 3 to 5% of your clients are going to take it. And then there's probably going to be about a 1 to 1.5% that are going to implement it and really work the process, work the methodology. I can't remember the rest of your question, but I hope.
No, that's fine. So you said you were able to double your revenue. So obviously implementing the profit first services in your firm to your clients allowed you to generate more top line revenue in your company. So you're making more. So now the next question is, and actually before I ask the next question, you also commented that not all of your clients embrace those services. So they're not all getting it, nor are they all paying for it. So it is a select few that it resonates with. But the other thing that I'd like to ask is, have you found as it's differentiated you from your competition in the area, the other accountants and bookkeepers, you're uniquely offering it, has it helped you marketing get new clients?
Well, because it's a recent adventure for me, it's a recent journey that I'm on. I am also still in the training process. And so I also don't look at myself as in competition with any other bookkeepers, or there's lots of us out there, and there's lots of businesses that need bookkeepers. How it also impacts how I interact with the clients who are not embracing the methodology yet, because they still have the opportunity to do that, is that it's my thinking. It's part of my mindset. So I'm going to bring that mindset to whatever it is I do for them. And I may make suggestions or recommendations based on those things and become more of a consultant with them than just being a bookkeeper.
Very good. Well, one thing I do want to point out, you're right about the competition. We definitely don't want to see that there is a lack of client opportunities out there. We want to speak in a frame of abundance. And so there's definitely plenty of clients out there. My point was simply to state that I think when a client is considering your services or someone else, there's definitely an appeal when you're able to, in your marketing, point out that you're profit focused, that your firm with profit first is trying to really help the client find the profit and have that be an or a purposeful thing within the firm. So that's something that with your marketing, you can obviously latch onto. So here's the question, because you mentioned you're still in the training, tell us a little bit about the training with Profit First. What's that experience been like?
Amazing. It is superb. It is an immersion process in that you immerse yourself in the methodology for your own business. You find your beta clients and you immerse them, and at the same time you're immersing yourself. So it is an immersion process. The coaching and the support and the tools are outstanding. It's amazing. I can't praise the Profit Professional team or the membership process enough. It is concise, consistent, flexible with regards to myself, my clients, my niche. She recently told me that my guide just told me, she said, how I implement the details of this methodology is entirely up to me and my clients, following the basic that have been proven successful and being accountable to that. Being, what's the word I'm looking for? Being in that there's no bailing. It's like riding through the waves. We all know that business, life, all of that is a roller coaster. There's ups, there's downs, come in, the waves go out. And this is one of the things that the Profit First methodology has shown me, is that you can get an idea of what those waves are in your own business, and then you are prepared for them. And so there's no loss aversion. You just keep going. And if there's, 1 month you say, okay, we didn't have that many sales, but we're still putting away money for profit. We're still putting away money for taxes. We're still doing all of that. These things support that continuing of the practicing that particular methodology.
I love it. I love it. Now, you also brought up some of the coaching and support. Who's your coach over there at Profit First?
Billy Ann Griggs.
I love it. Yeah, yes. Billy Ann, she's a graduate of Universal Accounting Center, so that's wonderful. Yeah, Billy Ann is a wonderful woman, yes. One of the things that's always fun is in my travels, since you're out traveling, I have run into Billy Ann on a few occasions at conferences and such, and so she's always a joy to speak with and run into, and being that she's a graduate of Universal as well, she's excellent at what she does, so that's wonderful. Here's the next question. Imagine now you're talking to yourself today, and maybe you're looking at speaking to a peer, someone who has, like you do, a practice, you have clients, you're a thriving accounting firm. What advice would you give to someone related to maybe becoming that strategic advisor for their clients, or using the Profit First program to level up their services? What advice would you give to someone like that?
That's a very interesting question, Roger. What advice would I give to them? Well, you don't get it if you don't crack the shell. That's one, and that's an old cliche. What advice? You may have to edit. I don't know what advice I would give a peer other than read the book. I did an exercise with my 9-year-old grandson, and I used Profit First as the basis. Now, I didn't tell him that was what it was, but he was wondering how he could make some money. And so I shared with him part of the methodology of putting your money away, and then once a month, in his case, taking half of it and saving half of it, and then adding your next month's allowance or whatever to that for a month, and then taking half. And I showed him, and we practiced math on how it just keeps building. It just keeps building and building. To implement this into a client's business, what would I tell my daughter? I would tell my daughter that there is a level of satisfaction in supporting a business in being profitable, because when you support a client in profitable so that they can see it every single day, every time they log into their bank accounts, then you're also supporting yourself in being profitable. This profitability isn't just cash, it's also energy, it's also life, It's all of those things. So I don't know if that actually answered your question, Roger, but that's what I would tell my daughter.
Very good. Very good. No, this is what I'd add. One of the things that I think a lot of accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers run into as they've been doing it like you have for 30 years is you get to a point where your experience is such that I think you have more to give to your clients than just the financial reports. And you get to a point where you have insights, intuitions that you would like to communicate to the clients and interact with them like you described as strategic advisor. But the challenge you have is really you may not have the confidence or the training with which to bring that information to light and interact with the client as a strategic advisor. And Profit First is basically designed to give you the confidence and the competence to have that dialogue, to charge for that type of a service and get paid that value added fee for the fact that you're going in and doing more than just preparing the financials for them now. You're literally helping them implement some strategies and processes in their company to be more profitable, to be profitable deliberately. And so that's one of the things that I think is powerful about Profit First is it empowers you to become that strategic advisor that you shared earlier. So here's my next question. Here you are, you're looking at yourself, you're in the Profit First program, you've got the clients you have. I'm just kind of curious, what goals do you have for yourself here in 2019?
Oh, I love this because there's something I'm working on is creating my vision, mission, and purpose. Mm-hmm. And so this is what I see for myself in 2019. By the end of 2019, I will have clients in place that are supported in such a way that I can go on a 4-week vacation. I have intention to go to Australia the end of this year. And so I want my business will be running on its own per se with team members. I don't have team members right now. Right now I'm a solopreneur. So I'm creating team members and they will be taking care of the heavy lifting and I will be taking care of the client management and I will be able to do that from anywhere in the world.
I love it. That is wonderful. Well, one of the things I want to applaud you for is the fact that as an accountant, you didn't become stagnant. You embraced this new opportunity. You're being more forward thinking and open to change. And most importantly, your clients are benefiting from it. They're the ones that are maybe able to latch on to your thriving forward. So that's something that's successful. That's wonderful. Are there any other parting thoughts that you'd like to share or anything more you would like to add to this?
Take the time to check out Profit First. Go ahead and buy the book. It's not that expensive. In fact, I think I heard that a Kindle edition is $1.99 today. So sign up. Check it out. You're going to find that when you join the Profit First professional team, you're going to have so much support. You have almost 24-hour support, it seems like. And when you know that you have that level of support and empowerment behind you, you're going to be very, very successful.
That is perfect. That's great advice. In fact, what I'll do is I'll even do better. Here associated with this webinar, what I'm going to do is put below in the description in the link, a link to go get a copy of Profit First so that you can have that. And that'll be wonderful. It'll be an e-version. So those of you who'd like to read the ebooks, that'll be perfect for you. So like the Kindle. And one of the things that I'd also encourage everyone to do is realize that as you're in the process of trying to improve your business and look at new ways to bring in new services, new revenue streams, maybe offer value services to get more paid what you're worth as a strategic advisor, Profit First can definitely be that solution. So reach out to Universal Accounting Center. We're more than happy to obviously help you in that process. And because of our relationship with Mike and Ron with Profit First, we can give you the tools that you need in order to implement this very effectively within your company. This has been a wonderful conversation. Troy, I appreciate you taking the time to share your story and the journey you've been on. I know that there's a lot that can relate to this in the fact that they're either pursuing to kind of do what you've done or they're in the same place you are and they can just relate to what it is you're experiencing. So I appreciate your story. Thanks for taking the time today to share it.
Thank you very much, Roger, for inviting me.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. Well, everyone, I want to thank you for listening in. This has been a great experience. I hope you got some insights and questions answered. But more importantly, take advantage of her invitation to read the book Profit First. Again, I'll put it in the links. And just remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a wonderful day.